When you meet a new person for the first time, you naturally want it to go well. You want to impress your audience, literally in my case. The thing about first impressions, however, is most people only get one. I say most people because from the moment I was rolled out onto the stage, your first impression of me was probably subconsciously made, not by me, but by my chair. For those of you who couldn't tell by my spasmy hands or maybe my set of wheels, I'm a disabled person. The key word there being person, just like most people in this room. The notable difference being most of you, I think, could probably wipe your own arse. But then again, I wouldn't know because society doesn't focus on how non-disabled characters in movies use a bathroom. Well, besides the fact that I'm wearing a mic and you're probably waiting for the guy in the wheelchair to say something inspirational. So I should probably get to it, shouldn't I? What I'd like to talk to you about today is the idea of being disabled, not by impairments, but by perception. And to do that, I'd like to take you back to my first day of school. I know now that there's probably not one person in this room that wasn't worried about how you'd be perceived on your first day of school. In your head, you think everyone's looking at you, judging you, when in reality, everyone's in the same boat. I mean, sure, for me, I sat at a higher desk and had to have an adult help me with stuff. But I was determined to make sure that I was just like everyone else, because I didn't yet know any other kids in a wheelchair at the time, or at least not any I could relate to anyway. I don't remember the exact day, but pretty early on, I was driving around in my electric chair in the playground when a kid in a camo hat came up to me and started asking questions about my chair. This lasted a few minutes, and then we just chatted and chatted. And still, to this day, he's one of my best friends. He's inquisitive when he needs to be, as he sees the chair, but he sees it as an aid that can empower me. Sure, we needed to adapt things, but that didn't define our friendship. I want you to picture this next part. One beautiful Friday. I know it may be hard to picture in Ireland, but just go with it. My friend and I were chasing my brother around the playground, with my friend pushing me as he took the corners with speed. Some may say a little too much speed. 1 minute I'm on top of the world, and the next I'm on a stone floor with a small cut in my head, still strapped into my wheelchair. Terrified at the time, but looking back, just like any other kids our age, wheelchair or not. We spent every single day talking about anything and everything, but yet, even though I had an amazing best friend who saw me as equal, I still didn't see equality within myself. Fast forward to secondary school and a chance to finally make people see me for who I am. Only I didn't take that chance. I sat in the corner every day at lunch with my SNA facing into the wall because I thought the way that I ate wasn't normal, so I didn't want to embarrass myself, even though my SNA would always say that I should go and talk to people. And looking back, he was right. I did have another friend, however, who came from Hungary. Much like my school experience, he was shy at first, so naturally it was a great basis to start a friendship. It was great to see his confidence grow over time, but due to his family's work, he eventually had to move to Australia. At first he was sad to leave Ireland, but his perception changed over time. As he was plunged into the unknown over there, he found his people. There was a lesson to be learned here, but unfortunately not one I could learn in school. Despite having family and friends who supported me, the thought of my disability made me very upset, because in movies and TV shows, people like me are often portrayed as a school outcast. So to my young impressionable brain, that's how I perceive myself. Because of this, whenever I had to talk to students or teachers as part of a school project, I would always get so pissed off if they spoke slower and were in a patronizing tone to me. But I did nothing about it, because what could I do? I was the disabled kid after all. Looking back, they probably didn't have much experience with disability, or the experience they did have was based off someone completely different to me. In hindsight, I should have challenged them, because my fellow students could grow up to be that waiter or waitress at a restaurant that asked my family and friends, and what will he be having, instead of asking me, the person eating the meal. They could be working in building construction and realize, oh, we should probably get somebody who's going to be using this to test it first. Or maybe they could be a scriptwriter or a casting director for the next film like we talked about at the start. And maybe they might hire a disabled actor or actress to play a part that might not just be a dreary medical stereotype that's so inspirational for no reason whatsoever. On that note, actually, as you probably guessed by now, I hate the word inspirational. The reason why I hate this word as it relates to perception is as follows. People think that I'm inspirational because they think that if they were in my position, they wouldn't be able to cope. Well, at least that's the perception. Since leaving school, I've had the opportunity to speak with and interview many people with a wide range of impairments. And let me tell you, disabled people can and do live happy, fulfilled, and satisfied lives, filled with friendship, romance, and employment opportunities. It just shouldn't have taken me so long to see it. I'm getting more and more comfortable with my impairment every day, but I'd be lying if I said the preconceptions of other people, of how other people see my chair, wouldn't hinder the chances of those previously mentioned opportunities. But there's more to life than first impressions. I'm tired of not being the person I want to be, yet have had the power to be all along. So, in an effort to make up for lost time, I'm metaphorically stepping out of my comfort zone and into my future. Giving this talk was my first step. I will inevitably have to have some level of assistance throughout my life, even though it's hard for me to wrap my head around sometimes. For me, it's just a case of finding the people who see that and are willing to help. Before I leave the stage today, would you mind if I asked you a few questions? I know they're more rhetorical since I'm the one with the mic. But what if you could be? So what if your business hasn't hired a disabled person before? So what if you're not sure how a disabled person can have a meaningful contribution to society? Or if you're a parent and your kid asks a disabled person a question, don't pull them away from the disabled person. More often than not, we are happy to answer the question, and by pulling them away, you are only feeding into the stigma. I believe the only way to change perception is to have someone experience something for themselves and make up their own mind. So I hope today, while you came here to hear new ideas, that those ideas don't just stay in this room or on a screen if you're watching online, but you take them and apply them in your own life where possible. The most important thing I've learned when writing and giving this speech is actually one line, and that one line is something that I think everyone in the world can take something away from. So I'd like to leave you with it today. Don't let the fear of perception hold you back from doing the things that could change your life. Thank you.